Hey there YouTube, Superbrain AK here, and I've got the wireless FM current transmitter with Quick Charge 3.0. This is the one from Amazon, CH Geek, and BT70 one. And I've got it taking apart on the bench, and this way we can get to looking about how much power it can handle, which is actually a decent amount. So to take it apart, you just unscrew the little end part here, and then undo the screw that's behind the neck, and then you undo the silver screw that's behind the quick charge USB port. And then you've got the module here. So it's got two buck converter chips. This is for the 2.4 amp. This is for the quick charge. Quick charge has a little 5-pin chip, which is a CX. I forget. CX7916, which is that little jobby there. And then this is a CX8825. This is a CX8822. So if you guys can find me those guys, the data sheet, I found a selling for it, which listed as a 3 amp buck converter, but not much else useful on them. And we can see that these have output side current limiting, which is very interesting when being used with a quick charge port. I'll show you that when I test it. So, anyway, let's got it connected up here. That's going up to my power hub. And we've got it on the DPS 5005, and it's outputting 13.8 volts at 3.5 amps. And we'll leave you there. So let's turn it on. Nothing's connected to it, so it's just idle. So there it's processing and stuff, so that's about 70 milliamps. However, as you guys know, if you've been looking at it, you can turn it off by holding the skip button, which is the bottom right. Hold that for about 3 seconds, and it turns off. So at about 13.8 volts, which is a nominal car battery voltage, we've got about 16 milliamps. Now the USB ports are still on. You can still get the full functionality of them. However, the FM transmitter is off, and so is the screen. So 16 milliamps is actually not bad. You can see it's dead to the world, and to turn it back on, you just hold that button again. And we can see 13.7, 13.6. So let's see what voltage, how accurate its voltage readings are. Let's see, so about 12.1. You can turn it off, turn it back on. We're seeing 12.0. If I drop it down, it'll start flashing the voltage on the screen. So that's going to be basically the only thing you see under 12 volts coming in from the battery. It doesn't go away. And let's see. 11 volts coming from the power supply. We're reading 10.9, 10.8. So it's more or less accurate. I mean, it's a general idea. 10 volts going out, 9.8. Once again at 9 volts coming in. Now we've got 8 volts coming in. 7.2, 7.1, 7, 6.9. It has shut off. Now this is kind of interesting because maybe, oh, it's just too low voltage, but shouldn't it just brown out, right? Well, if I read the voltage here on the 5-volt buck converter, it's completely off. Go over to the quick charge one, that one's still on. But if I bring that down one more, it'll go off as well. But bring it back up, we'll turn it back on. And then we've got, I think, oh, my negative is going off. There you go, 5.1, 5.0, 5.1. So yeah, it'll actually completely turn off and reboot the system, so that way you start the car, it'll actually cut out completely and not just brown out and could crash the microcontroller, making some weird static or some sort of buzzing in the radio. That's actually a pretty decent feature. So let's get to testing the current limits. Let's bring the voltage back up and plug in the USB load. Alright, let's connect it up to the 2.4 amp port. And what do we got? So, as I don't think I've mentioned, but the 2.4 amp port, it's the blue one, and it's got these 4 resistors there, right on the quick charge side, but right next to it. That's its voltage divider. So if we go over here, we can see you've got 2.7 volts, a little higher on each the data pins. And bring up the current and see what output current limiting does. There we go, we've got 2.7, 2.74, about there, 2.75. And so at 2.7 amps, you can read come on, connect. Read that voltage there. So on the output capacitor, got 5.28 about. Drop it back a little bit more. Yeah, 5.278. So, and if you notice, if I bring the current up too much, browns out, and you can notice, oh, that's actually rebooted itself. Or crashed. One or the other. There we go. It will brown out this guy. Yep. So, do have to be careful when connecting to the 2.4 amp port. it will brown it out. So I'm going to disconnect this guy, and I'm going to connect my quick charge trigger board, which I have wired up with wires basically just on the terminal here, and plug him straight in. And you do notice I just plugged it in and we are reading 12 volts. Guess we can confirm that on my meter. 12.3, 12.3, and that is going along this wire all the way up to my 150 watt USB load. I have a review on this guy. Just make sure you get from the right AliExpress one. There's a link on in my review of this guy. And so we'll bring it down to 5 volts. You can barely see that, but it's still legible. So according to quick charge specifications, I should get 3 amps. And that indeed I do. 15 watts. How high can we go? So that's 3.7 amps right there. Drawing 18.5 watts. And show you the voltage here. 5.12. Now it is fluctuating a bit, so maybe the capacitor it's either slightly jumping into current limit, because let me drop it down to 3.6. Yeah, looks like it was just jumping into current limit. 5.124. And I don't know, what's the temperature of the chip? I don't care about Fahrenheit, 'cause that's a useless. Uh-oh. About 47, 48 degrees Celsius. So that's actually, oh wait, I'm supposed to be measuring the quick charge chip. Aha, there, 70 degrees Celsius. Oops, 78. So it does get pretty warm at 3.6 amps. And I believe it will not be able to handle that perfectly. But, let's see, we've got 18 watts coming out. You can see that, if it will focus, 17.969, and we've got 21.7 coming in. So that's even with all the resistance of wires and whatnot. We still got pretty decent efficiency. Let me calculate that. So, 18 watts out, we're getting about a 3.7 watt drop. So I believe that's how you calculate wattage. The loss divided by the total input, which is 21.7, you can see on there. So that's that. Now, let's talk about output current limiting. Because when you go turn off the current limit, or the current, constant current, and let's change, alright, output voltage. 5 volts to 9 volts. So at 9 volts, I believe it's at least 2 amps. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe I can get a little better. At 9.2 volts, 2 amps. .3 amps. We're at 32 watts. 3.7 amps. 3.6 at 9.3. We've got 33 watts coming out. And 37.3 coming in. So that's a pretty decent power. And check our temperatures here. .75, 80, oh, 82, 84. So this will probably bring it to its over temperature protection. So we'll turn that guy off. And bring it down to 1.5 amps. Because I'm going to change it to 12. We've got 12.3 coming out. And set to 1.5 amps. Got 18.5 watts out. 19.9. Yeah, about that. 19.9 going in. So 3 amps, 36.7 watts. By the way, that would be 40.2 watts in. Sorry for shaking the camera. 42 watts. 43. Up. It was, nope, I'm not having it. Probably due to over temperature. 9, 12. What's the temperature? Eh, 70 something. So it actually drops out at 3.5 amps. That's interesting. .43. Nope, 3.6. Huh, that's interesting. Maybe that's due to a, I don't know, pulse current, because the capacitor's too small. But anyway, I'll thank you guys for watching. Now, for efficiency buffs. 3 and 41.65 out. 45.9 in. So I'll thank you guys for watching, stay tuned and subscribed for a review of this guy.